This was a moment that shook Hollywood and went down in television history as one of the most shocking events on a talk show. Al Pacino, a cinematic legend whose roles in The Godfather and Scarface made him an icon, appeared on the spotlight with Joy Behar, known for her sharp tongue and provocative style. Pacino came to discuss his charitable initiatives supporting children with disabilities, but no one was prepared for how an innocent interview would turn into an explosive confrontation. The tension crackling in the air, and the words that followed changed everything. Watch until the end to see how it concluded, and leave your thoughts in the comments. The spotlight studio buzzed like the calm before a storm. Bright spotlights flooded the stage with blinding light, while the audience held its breath, awaiting Al Pacino's arrival. The legendary actor, known for his sincerity and passion for charity, entered with a warm smile, dressed in a simple yet elegant gray suit. Opposite him sat Joy Behar, her cold smile and piercing gaze betraying her intent to stir trouble. The audience whispered, and producers exchanged nervous glances backstage, sensing the atmosphere was about to spiral out of control. The studio was electric, and everyone knew this interview would be far from ordinary. "Al, welcome to the spotlight," Joy began with feigned warmth, her voice laced with a hint of sarcasm. "You do a lot for children with disabilities through your foundation. Tell us, what inspires you in this work?" Pacino responded with genuine passion, his voice deep and warm. "These kids are the real heroes. They fight every day, and if I can help them get better care, education, or just a chance at happiness, it's an honor for me. My foundation is about hope and support." The audience applauded, but Joy quickly shifted her tone, her eyes narrowing like a predator's. "Hope, you say?" She leaned forward, her smile turning sharp. "But Al, there are rumors that your foundation isn't entirely about the kids. People are talking about money laundering. What do you have to say about that?" The question struck like thunder. The audience gasped, and someone laughed nervously. Pacino froze, his face remaining calm, but a flicker of outrage flashed in his eyes. "Joy, that's a serious accusation," he replied quietly but firmly. "My foundation helps thousands of children. Every penny goes to their needs. These rumors are lies, and I'm ready to prove it." "Lies?" Joy raised an eyebrow, her voice growing more biting. "Let's be honest, Al. People say your charitable donations are a cover for financial schemes. You won't deny that your lifestyle costs millions, will you?" The audience fell silent, feeling the tension rise. Pacino clenched his fists, but his voice stayed restrained. "I live by my work, Joy. My foundations have been audited dozens of times. Everything is transparent. You're accusing me without evidence. Why not check the facts before throwing around such words?" Joy didn't back down. Her voice grew increasingly sarcastic, her questions more personal. "Oh, Al, don't be so saintly," she laughed, turning to the audience, which chuckled awkwardly. "You want us to believe you're an altruist? Let's talk about your $20 million mansion. Where did that money come from? Maybe from those charitable deals whispered about in Hollywood." Pacino sighed, his eyes flashing, but he kept his composure. "Joy, I earned my wealth honestly, through my career, my work. You know how much I give to charity. Why are you twisting this for the sake of a show?" "Twisting?" Joy raised her hands dramatically. "There's evidence, Al. People have seen your partners transferring huge sums to offshore accounts. You say it's for the kids, but isn't it for your own toys, yachts, planes, luxury?" The audience erupted in whispers, someone exclaiming, "Wow!" A producer backstage gestured for Joy to tone it down, but she ignored him. Pacino leaned forward, his voice quieter but sharper. "You want a show, Joy? You've got one. But I won't let you smear my work for ratings. My foundations save lives. What do you do besides spreading lies?" Feeling her control slipping, Joy went all in. "Don't deflect, Al." She raised her voice. "You play a hero on screen, but in life? People deserve the truth. Why not tell us about that 2018 deal when your foundation transferred millions to the Cayman Islands?" A text question appeared on screen. How would you respond to Joy's accusations? The audience froze, awaiting his reaction. Pacino pursed his lips, his face hardening. "Joy, I know who I am," he said, his voice calm but cutting. "I don't need your accusations to prove my honesty. The question is, who are you? A person building a career on gossip and humiliation?" The audience burst into applause, but Joy didn't relent. She stood, her face reddening with anger. "You're dodging the question, Al," she shouted. "People deserve the truth. Your foundation is a front for money laundering, and you know it." That was the breaking point. Pacino rose from his chair, his presence radiating dignity. "Joy, I won't let you humiliate my work for the sake of your show." His voice trembled with restrained fury but remained firm. "I've dedicated my life to helping people, especially children who fight every day. You call yourself a journalist? You're a predator feeding off others' pain. I came here to talk about hope, about kids who need support. But you want only scandal. I won't play your game." He threw the microphone onto the table, the sound echoing like a gunshot. The audience fell into shocked silence. Pacino, without looking back, headed for the exit. Joy, caught off guard, tried to salvage the situation. "Al, come back. We're just talking." But her voice drowned in the audience's whispers. A new question flashed on screen. Would you support Al Pacino in this situation? The studio hummed, and the doors slammed shut behind Pacino. The silence that enveloped the spotlight studio after Al Pacino threw the microphone and stormed toward the exit was deafening. The audience sat breathless, while cameras frantically captured every moment: Joy Behar's bewildered face, the nervous glances of producers backstage, and the growing murmur of the crowd, like an approaching wave. On the large screen above the stage, the question lingered: would you support Al Pacino in this situation? Joy, whose confidence had cracked like thin ice, tried to regain control. Her voice, once dripping with sarcasm, now carried a note of panic. "Well then," she said with a forced smile, "it seems Al isn't ready for an honest conversation. But this is the spotlight, and we're here to uncover the truth, aren't we?" The audience's reaction was mixed. Some applauded, backing Joy, but most exchanged outraged looks. A woman in the front row shook her head, whispering to her neighbor, "This is too much." A young man in the back shouted, "Leave him alone!" The tension in the studio reached a boiling point, and Joy, sensing she was losing the crowd, doubled down. "Let's be honest," she continued, addressing the cameras with feigned confidence. "Al Pacino may be a legend, but no one's flawless. We've all heard the rumors about his foundation, offshore accounts, shady deals. Don't his fans deserve to know where their donations go?" This sparked a fresh wave of whispers. A producer backstage gestured for Joy to stop, but she ignored him, her eyes gleaming with excitement. She turned to the empty guest chair where Pacino had sat and shrugged theatrically. "If he won't answer, that's his choice. But the truth always surfaces," she said, winking at the camera. That was a mistake. The audience, which had been wavering, began openly expressing disapproval. Someone yelled, "That's low, Joy." Another voice added, "You've gone too far." Cameras panned to the crowd, capturing their angry faces. A new question appeared on screen: do you think Joy crossed a line? Meanwhile, backstage, a producer's assistant rushed to Pacino's dressing room, hoping to convince him to return. But the door was locked, and the actor's bodyguard simply shook his head. "He's not coming back," he said quietly but firmly. The tension wasn't just in the studio. It was spilling onto social media, where #StandWithPacino and #JoyBeharExposed were already trending. In the studio, Joy attempted to salvage the situation, turning to the audience with forced lightness. "All right, let's move on," she said, shuffling papers on the table. "We've got plenty more topics. Who wants to talk about the new season of The Voice?" But the audience wasn't buying the attempt to change the subject. The murmur grew into a hum, and a few people in the back rows began chanting, "Pacino! Pacino!" Joy pressed her lips together, her face flushing. She whipped around to the director backstage and hissed, "Cut the cameras!" But the director just shrugged. The show was live, and stopping it was impossible. At that moment, the studio doors swung open again. The audience froze as Al Pacino re-entered the stage. His steps were slow but confident, his face radiating calm resolve. He didn't sit, standing with a sheet of paper in hand. Cameras zoomed in, his eyes burned with determination, but his voice was steady, almost cold. "I'm not back for you, Joy," he began, and the audience erupted in applause. "I'm back for the people who believe in my work. For the kids who rely on my foundation. And for the truth you're trying to bury under a pile of lies." Joy opened her mouth to interrupt, but Pacino raised a hand, silencing her. His presence was so commanding that the studio fell silent again. "You accuse me of money laundering, of schemes, of using kids for my own gain." His voice gained strength, each word sharp and clear. "But here's what I'll tell you, Joy. I've devoted my life to art and people. My foundation has helped thousands of children with disabilities get medical care, education, a chance at a normal life. Every dollar is documented. Every report is open for review. And what can you say about yourself? You build your career by humiliating others, spreading rumors, calling it truth. But the truth, Joy, is that you're not a journalist. You're a showwoman living off scandals." The audience exploded in cheers, people rising to their feet, clapping. Pacino held up the paper in his hand. "This is a report from my foundation for the last 5 years," he said. "Every dollar, every transaction. I invite anyone, journalists, auditors, even you, Joy, to check it. But I won't let you or anyone else tarnish the work that saves lives for a few minutes of fame." He tossed the paper onto the table in front of Joy, the sound of the gesture reverberating like thunder. Joy, whose confidence had completely crumbled, tried to respond, but her voice was lost in the applause. Cameras zoomed in on her face. She looked dazed, her eyes darting between Pacino and the audience. "Al, I was just asking questions," she stammered. "It's my job." "Your job?" Pacino shook his head, his voice filled with contempt but still dignified. "Your job is to humiliate people, twist facts, sow doubt where there's none. I came here to talk about kids who need our help. But you made this show about you. And you know what? I pity you." He turned to the audience, his eyes softening with warmth. "Thank you," he said, addressing the crowd. "Thank you for supporting those who fight. Thank you for believing in good. If you want the truth, check my foundation. Help us help others. As for me, I'm leaving this circus." With that, Pacino gave Joy one last look, turned, and walked out. This time, the door closed with a loud click that echoed through the studio. The audience erupted in ovations, chanting his name. Joy remained seated, her face pale, hands trembling as she tried to gather her papers. The confrontation between Al Pacino and Joy Behar was more than just a moment of television drama. It became a symbol of standing up for dignity in a world where media often oversteps for ratings. Pacino, whose sincerity and dedication shone through, demonstrated that true strength lies in staying true to one's principles, even when attacked. Joy Behar, conversely, exemplified how far the toxic culture of talk shows can go when the chase for sensationalism overshadows respect for individuals. This moment prompted many to reflect. Where is the line between journalism and entertainment? Do media have the right to level accusations without evidence? And most importantly, how can we, as a society, support those doing good instead of dragging them into scandals? Al Pacino left the studio, but his words lingered, a call for self-respect, truth, and humanity. Subscribe to never miss news stories, and share your thoughts in the comments. Did Al Pacino do the right thing by returning to face Joy, or should he have left immediately? What do you think of Joy Behar's behavior? Were her accusations justified, or was it just a way to grab attention? Why do talk show hosts resort to personal attacks for ratings? Write in the comments whose side you're on, and like the post if you think Al Pacino defended his honor with dignity.